Darren, welcome to 2023. We are back.
Jeff, it's 2023. You know, it's strange. It looks a lot like 2022. I'm just looking out my window. Is there anything I'm missing?
Well, we've been missing the sun. I haven't
yeah.
seen that bright, fiery ball in the sky since I think December 30th.
It gives us all life, Jeff, and we should respect it more than we do.
It was actually getting. I mean, today, thank God, the sun's out because I think it was. I got a statistic. It was like on day 4 of the new year.
Yeah.
We had 90 minutes of total sunlight.
Wow.
And that proceeded all through last week, right? I mean, I felt like I was living in Seattle or London or something.
We talked about that on another podcast. My mother, for a while, had one of those lights that gives you artificial sun that helps your mental health somehow. Yeah.
I was very close to purchasing one. I mean, it was getting so bad that I even had cabin fever over the weekend. I had to get out of the house. I'm like, I can't take this. I got to do something, you know.
Now, but if there's not snow on the ground, you're playing golf though, right? I mean, it's only 30 degrees out, Jeff. What?
I'm too rickety to be contorting my body when it is below.
So winter golf
58.
is not on your agenda when it's okay. I got it.
Yeah, I've never been a winter golfer. I just, the old bones are too brittle.
Yeah, those orange balls are harder to find than you'd think. It's the darndest thing.
Well, I will say, like, I've seen some posts from our neighbors, and they're as crotchety as ever.
Oh,
there was one guy.
It's the reason we have a podcast. So you mean in 2023 we can count on the neighbors being worth talking about, Jeff?
So a guy posts that he's miffed that he got his car detailed, and it used to cost him $350.
Yeah.
And now it costs him like $440.
Oh man!
And he's like, I'm being gouged. Blah, wah, wah, wah. I'm like, okay, hold on. So luckily, all the responses were, "Do it yourself."
Yeah.
Or they've published the prices, so you knew what the job was going to cost before you did it. You know, getting online and moaning about that.
First world problems. Oh, I had my Mercedes, my 2022 Mercedes detailed. And they charged me an arm and a leg. What? Where?
Well, most of my cars are worth about $500.
Yeah.
So,
Me too.
An over $400 detail on it would not be warranted.
Mr. Stevens, your 2010 Hyundai Elantra Touring is ready. There are dirty parts we really weren't able to do anything about. It seems like it's baked in. This looks like chocolate sauce in the passenger seat here. I urge you not to bring kindergarten classes back and forth every day. Mr. Stevens, yeah.
Right. We can't buff out your clouded over headlight shields because those are just never coming back.
They say, though, if you have a car that's really, really old, I mean, super, super old, you actually should replace the windshield because it gets pitted so that it's harder to look through your windshield. I think a 2010, I think my windshield is still good, Jeff, but I'm not sure.
I think that is subterfuge from the windshield makers. They were doing the same thing about bed mattresses.
Big wind. It's big wind and their machinations to get us to
buy something.
Yep.
So there was like some commercial for like, you got to change your bed mattress every 10 years. And so my bride was like, we got to change our bed mattress. I'm like, no, we don't. They don't even make them as well as ours now. I mean, because we got a double pillow top so you can flip it and rotate it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think they made flippable mattresses anymore.
Well, they don't. I mean, my mattress is pushing 20 years, maybe longer.
Okay.
So I'm not giving up the double pillow top for some, and then these foam things.
Oh man!
Have you seen these? They come in a box. Like my son bought one.
I think you can get the way I see it. From what I've seen, your mattress arrives in the mail. It's about the size of a large cell phone, and then you press a button and it expands to a full queen size, something like that, right?
It's very close to that. It's about the size of a college refrigerator box, and then the thing blows up into like a king bed within like an hour or two.
So I'm sure that's a good bed. That's yeah. I mean, what could go wrong if your bed is just blowing up? It's like a gender reveal party that's a mattress, It's
that's right. Well, word of warning.
Yeah.
They're like ice skating rinks. So whatever material is on the top, like you can't like sit on the edge of one of these things and, for example, put on your shoes and socks.
Oh no.
Because you're just like, what? You just go right off the side of the bed. I'm like, okay, maybe for a guest bedroom or something, but for your daily mattress, no bueno.
Something that expands like that, it just seems airsats and fake and strange. Yeah, I don't want any product that I'm going to spend 8 hours of every day on that I can just like, it just comes in the mail and just expands. That's bizarre.
I guess, once you're in the bed, it's okay. But you're going to have to adapt to certain things that you're used to in a bed that are just not, they're comfortable enough. I don't know what their longevity is. There's no way that one of those foam things is going 20 years.
I went to a place for my last mattress, which was about a year old. I went to a place. This is not, we received nothing from these people, but I went to Mattress Sherpa. There's like these people that like guide you through various mattresses, and they're from Nepal, interestingly enough.
Really?
And no, they're not actually from Nepal, but they lead you.
I've never heard of this company, so I'm believing everything you're saying.
It's Mattress Sherpa, and they have a bunch of mattresses, and you can go look at them and lie on them like that's what you're supposed to do. I want that job. I want mattress tester, Mattress Sherpa, a person that's about sleep products, and maybe part of your day is just testing mattresses.
Yeah, I don't. Well, to give you an idea how old our mattress is, It came from Montgomery Ward's.
Oh.
And I drove it home on the top of my car.
You've been married a long time. At this point, I'm not sure you mess with the mattress. It might affect the longevity of your marriage at this point.
I am not messing with it. It still works. It's still got enough firmness. It's not like springs are popping out of it. So
yeah,
until that thing self-destructs,
all right.
It's our mattress. But so anyway, hey, I think we teased on the last episode of season 1 that we were going to do New Year, new neighbors, TV neighbors we would like.
Yes.
So I've got a bunch of them lined up. I think the audience will see kind of like when we stopped watching sitcoms just based on the timeline. But that is on today's show, my friend.
Excellent.
Dirty deeds, triggered tirades, busybodies, and missing cats. They say tall fences make good neighbors, but bad neighbors make the Right Next Door Podcast.
Like the good old days, Jeff, neighbors aren't the way they used to be back in the day.
Absolutely not. That's why we have this podcast. But it is kind of funny watching the old time shows versus the new shows, and how the fundamental goofbag neighbor has just lived on since, in the history of sitcoms. They haven't changed much.
Really? Till from then till now?
Yeah, because everybody that had a wacky neighbor, like all the shows that today have wacky neighbors, are basically the same formula, because sitcoms are formulas, but there's been some greats over time. And I think on that one podcast we were talking about, somehow the Brady Bunch came up, and I'm like, now that's a neighbor you would want, because Mike Brady would loan you any tool. The kids would come over and shovel your snow and bring you cookies, and they would been fabulous neighbors.
Yeah, and there's so many of them. You have most of the people you need for a baseball game. So what the heck?
Right. None of them were having loud, obnoxious beer parties with Mike and Carol not home. And
I'm going out on a limb here, Jeff, but I would be willing to bet that none of the Bradys were influencers.
They were not influencers, which would probably help them be great neighbors.
Well, see, that's the thing, because there are neighbors. Maybe you've heard about this. These houses with these influencers in them, and they're like filled with these raucous nut jobs, these young people that really are just like crazed, drugged out monsters, that they pile them all into a house, and they're influencers, and maybe they're videotaping everything, and they're on TikTok, and they're on Instagram, and it's all about this out of control house, and you don't want to have them as your neighbor, Jeff.
Those are not neighbors you want. You don't want anybody that's hyped up, strung out, and having loud parties with crazy people showing up at all hours.
And your life is about doing crazy stuff and videotaping it. That's what your entire life is about. So you've got to be as insane as possible to create content for the web, Jeff.
You see, and I thought, like, I mean, this whole influencers, I just go around telling people I'm an influencer now just to be obnoxious.
You
They're
influenced
like,
your children years ago. That's why they're still alive.
if I'm at a party, they're like, what do you do? I'm an influencer. And they're like, oh. And then I just leave it at that. You know, I don't say anything more. But, you know, it's one of those. You can't even say it's a fake job because people are making millions of dollars off of it.
They are. And, you know, there's these influencers, they influence me to drink heavily, Jeff, at times. And that's the influence they have on people like us.
I like to think that I'm not, that they cannot influence me, but quick story off topic.
Yeah.
Well, on influencer topic. So I'm watching a movie, terrible movie. I won't even tell you the title because it was just so bad. This is the movie I was telling you about. Well, I guess we could say the title, can't we?
Sure.
All right. So the movie I watched was 10 Minutes Gone. Horrific. If it's on Rotten Tomatoes, it's probably a 10. And as I was mentioning to you, the script was so bad that when you can see the script in your head as the characters are reading the lines.
It's like closed captioning, but you can just imagine it. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see the script as they're reading it. So there is a ridiculous, for those that don't think product placement works, it does, because there was a scene with this kind of funky military style tactical watch, which, you know, the camera zooms in on it and holds like 2-3 seconds. And then it comes up throughout the movie a couple of different times. So obviously they pump some money into this movie because no studio would fund it. So what do I do like an idiot? The next day I'm like, I've never seen that watch. Who makes this stupid watch?
Oh, you caved. You caved into the influence.
I didn't buy one. I was just Curious George, and I wanted to know. So it turned out to be a watch that was actually invented by 2 ex-Chicago cops.
Oh.
So, but
you were influenced, Jeff. You were influenced. You gave it clicks. You gave it attention. It's raised it up in the zeitgeist and in the culture, and it's partly your fault.
Look, those 2 poor ex-coppers probably lost their shirt because that movie made $0. So if they were promised points on the net is negative whatever.
Well, so we'll have to think about what we're going to be influencing people to do or buy during the course of this show. But I'm interested to see what wacky neighbors we want next door, Jeff.
Well, we talked about the Brady Bunch. So the opposite of the Brady Bunch, the Partridge Family. You wouldn't want them next door.
No.
They're jamming in their garage all the time. They got a weird bus that's painted on that's in the driveway.
I think they're kind of druggy. You know, you have that many colors on your bus, Jeff. I think they're a little bit druggy, and I'm not sure that's a good influence.
Now, Dennis the Menace, another one you don't want next door.
Yeah. With his slingshot in his back pocket, ready to break one of your windows.
He's breaking stuff. He's ruining your garden. He's riding his bike through your fence.
But do you want angry Mr. Wilson, their neighbor? Do you want him next door?
I was going to say, you also don't want angry Mr. Wilson, who's the guy like, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
You know, so that would be a no. But the yin to that yang.
Yes.
Beaver Cleaver.
Oh my gosh.
You would absolutely want Beaver as your next door neighbor.
Ward, you were awfully hard on the Beaver last night.
Hey now. Yeah, I still to this day scratch my head over the character name in that
Beaver
show.
Cleaver. But do you want but Eddie Haskell, what a nice guy. Oh, Mrs. Cleaver, you look really lovely today. Do you want Eddie Haskell next door? He's so nice, Jeff.
Hello, Mrs. Cleaver. Can I have a cookie? I don't know. He was kind of creepy. I kind of remember him as like the annoying guy that always came over.
But he always appeared to the grown-ups as like, oh, that Eddie is so sweet. He's so kind. Then he'd beat up on the beef.
Now, we've talked about Mrs. Kravitz on Bewitched before.
Yes.
And everybody listening to this podcast and future listeners of this podcast all have a Mrs. Kravitz in their neighborhood. Do they not?
They do. Abner. And then when Abner gets to the window, whatever weird stuff she's looking at has completely disappeared.
Right. So I mentioned on a podcast prior that on the Andy Griffith Show, there was a similar foil.
Oh yeah.
And Clara Edwards was the character. You remember Clara? And she would come to Andy, who is the sheriff, moaning about every tiny little thing.
Oh, man.
So I just throw that out there as clarification because I couldn't remember her character name.
Clarification.
Clarification.
You want a busybody in your neighborhood. You want someone paying attention, I guess, Jeff, right? You want someone watching the neighborhood, or do you?
that's the tease for next week, my friend, when we're doing neighborhood narcs.
Oh,
I got a bunch of great great posts on neighborhood narcs. So that's next week's show.
so Mrs. Kravitz and Clara from the Andy Griffith Show are the neighborhood narcs from all those years ago.
That's right, and they're still out there today. So we'll deal with that next week. How about you live in an apartment?
Yeah.
Lenny and Squiggy.
Oh,
Would you want Lenny and Squiggy as your next door neighbors?
a couple of grease balls like that. Just the grease dripping off of their heads, would make the sidewalk slippery, Jeff.
They'd always be over borrowing something like food or beer. You would want Laverne and Shirley as your neighbors.
Yes, they'd be the best.
They would be the best. Shirley would probably tidy up for you.
And you get free beer. They're going to bring free beer home from the factory.
Free beer samples. You can take her to a movie. Lenny and Squiggy, what are you going to do with those two?
No. Those miscreants. No way.
So you wouldn't want that. How about Rob and Laura Petrie?
The best. Only the best. And they have the best parties, too. And they have those wonderfully entertaining parties. And Laura's going to dance. And Rob's going to tell jokes. And yeah. That's you want them next door because you want to be invited to their party. Absolutely.
Yeah, they were delightful neighbors. Now, a modern day version, Arrested Development. You would not want anybody in the Bluth family being your next door neighbor.
No, you wouldn't. I want to go back to Rob and Laura Petrie for just a moment. I happened to watch over the holidays, just for the heck of it, I wanted to watch a Humphrey Bogart movie, Caine Mutiny Court Martial, and in that movie, Jerry the dentist from the Dick Van Dyke Show is in that movie.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, another fun fact: the director of that picture, was my film director professor, my senior year.
Oh, for goodness sake!
How do you like that for 6 degrees of separation?
Wait, Caine Mutiny Court Martial?
Of Caine Mutiny. What's the court martial part?
Oh yeah, maybe just Caine Mutiny. Yeah,
it's just Caine Mutiny.
Okay.
Yeah, he directed Caine Mutiny.
And so he was 105 years old
during the Caine Mutiny.
Well, I mean, when he was your professor.
No, well, he was. Darren, I am no spring chicken anymore. Hold on, I remember because we were talking about Humphrey Bogart in the class. Hang on, I'll double check. This is going back a few years, but I'm pretty sure. And the Magic 8 Ball says yes. Eddie Dmytryk was the director of Caine Mutiny, and he was my film director class senior year.
Wow, and it just seems so long ago. But then again, you and I are a few years old. We're in the
Well, he was retired back, by then, obviously. But he was honestly one of my favorite professors, and I still have his 2 books because as one of the Hollywood 8 or 10, whatever that was.
Oh, he was blacklisted?
Oh yeah, he wasn't in but mentioned in that Trumbull movie.
Oh.
And
and he was later blacklisted for being your professor, Jeff, because he said,
That's right.
Oh wait, you're responsible for this guy. Oh no.
Yeah, who released this nut job into the working world? Who's responsible for this? But I found him to be a delightful professor. I learned so much from that class; it was unbelievable. But
you're now a communist, interestingly, because he turned you red.
Can I tell you something? He was that whole thing was so ridiculous. He was never a communist. That whole thing was so nutty.
Yeah.
That it just kind of got off the rails. But in any event, he did not turn me into a communist. For the record, I am true blue American purebred. So
well, if you're a true American, you don't want those Bluths next door from Arrested Development, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe Michael, but the rest of them, holy smokes, absolutely not. And one of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
But if you had the banana stand, maybe near your house, there's money in the banana stand, so you're going to knock that over.
I just want one of those luggage trucks to drive around the neighborhood in. I mean, that was such a great show. Another great show, The Office.
Yes.
You don't want Dwight as your neighbor.
No, you don't. You don't because, man, you inadvertently just used his stapler one time, and that's a world of hurt.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. But can you imagine a guy like Dwight being your neighbor?
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure people have people like him,
Yes.
and it would just, you'd lose your mind over it. All right, now I got some on the list that I'm not sure where they fall. Good neighbor, bad neighbor. How
Yeah.
about Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld? Would he be good or bad neighbor?
Well, he'd be a good neighbor if you didn't mind someone popping into your place every 9 minutes.
yeah, but from the entertainment value of that pop-in,
That's true. That's true.
It might be worth it just for the entertainment value
And for the Cuban cigars.
And that's right. So I was on the fence of that. I wouldn't want people popping in, but at the same token,
You got an entertaining popper. You got a good popper. Why not?
got a good popper. How about Larry, Daryl, and his other brother Daryl from the Newhart Show?
Well, they were harmless. They were hilarious and kind of harmless. So yeah.
But they were always over as well, and they didn't really do anything. Like they couldn't fix anything. I mean, I don't know.
So maybe you may or may not want them as your neighbor. You certainly wouldn't want them as your landlord.
Oh, you know what? It's funny you say that. Next one.
Yeah.
Three's Company. You wouldn't want Mr. Roper. You wouldn't want Stanley as your landlord for sure, because especially in Chicago, you wouldn't have any heat.
Yeah.
Likely, your plumbing wouldn't work properly. I mean,
we don't have in Chicago. We don't have supers. We have just landlords or like fix-it guys. You have to go to New York to get a super.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've been out of the rental market for so long. I don't even know how any of that.
I don't think we call them
anymore.
supers in Chicago.
What? So they're just what, your landlord
or your fix-it guy or your landlord or yeah.
Wait, that reminds me. What that show One Day at a Time? Remember they had that weird handyman guy
with the mustache. Yeah,
and he always had a pack of cigarettes rolled up in his. Wait, hold on.
That's why I say is his name like Sullivan or Stanley or something. Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was always kind of. But at least he served a purpose because he actually fixed stuff and occasionally gave, while twisted, good advice.
Yeah. So
and who didn't love a young Valerie Bertinelli?
Oh man. Oh man.
I mean, that was
until she married that rock star guy, one of the
Eddie Van Halen. That was one crazy matchup.
Wow.
But they were married for a long time. That was they worked for a long while. Yeah. So I don't know what ended up. I don't know the backstory on how that all fell apart. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a 1 or 2 year marriage.
Well, Jeff, your marriages to rock stars usually go so well. They're on the road being idolized by screaming women that will do anything for them. Usually, those marriages are pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid. And they spawned Wolfgang Van Halen, who I think I know he was playing when his dad was still alive in the band. He took over the bass spot, which
you know more about these rock bands than I do, Jeff.
Oh man. I used to, as a drummer, I learned a lot of drumming techniques from Van Halen albums.
Wow.
How about Wilson from Home Improvement?
Yeah,
I barely even remember that show. I just remember he was the guy with the hat.
Yeah, well, do you want a neighbor that you'd never ever see? You just see their hat, Jeff. Maybe that's the kind of neighbor you want. They're so quiet, they're so unobtrusive. You only ever see the top of their head. Maybe that's the neighbor you want.
That goes with the tall fences concept. Yeah. I'm on board with that.
Tall fences make good neighbors. It's part of our slogan. That's right.
That's right. So if you just see eyeballs and a hat, I guess that would work for me.
Amen.
You know who else you don't want?
Who's that?
You definitely don't want Larry David from Curb as your neighbor.
Oh man.
He would make you crazy.
Curmudgeonly, angry. Possibly very, very funny, but inadvertently gets in, scrapes, and screws things up. So, yeah, you don't want that guy.
Well, it's only funny because you're the third party.
Yes.
It's actually happening to you.
Yeah.
Not so funny.
Yeah.
And the contrast to that, Homer Simpson.
Oh, man.
A lot of people probably have Homer living next door with the carburetors out front and the 15 rusted cars.
You want Ned Flanders as your neighbor. Oakley dokley.
Ned Flanders, yes. There's a great yin and yang just between Ned and Homer.
Do you want a neighbor who's really that godly, Jeff? That's really so the Lord makes them a good neighbor or a bad neighbor, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm getting to the point. I think the conclusion we can draw from this podcast is I just don't want any neighbors. I'm going to build a moat. I got to get a permit for a moat. I'm bringing back the drawbridge.
Jeff, no man is an island. Jeff. No man is an island. You can't have a moat. We must have neighbors. We must have annoying neighbors, interesting neighbors, crazy neighbors. And that's why we have a podcast, Jeff. Happy New Year, everybody. We're so glad you're here, and we hope you join us again. Tell your friends. Let's blow up the Right Next Door podcast in 2023 and make it what it should be.
Yes, please like, subscribe, and the 5-star rating thing is just so crazy important. So if you can just spend, 10 seconds and do the 5-star rating.
Won't you be our neighbor? Won't you be the Right Next Door podcast neighborly person?
Please, won't you be our neighbor?
You have a neighbor who's driving you crazy. Tell us about it. RightNextDoorPodcast@gmail.com. The Right Next Door Podcast is an unscripted production of Eversharp Media, which takes a satirical look at local news coverage and social media. The material, views, and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the talent, guests, or the production company. Celebrity voices impersonated, including this one.